their sessions. But turns out that facilitators actually love Lana. One of them grew up with a golden. The other one just really likes dogs. And so they're like, no, if you're locking her up for us, don't feel like you have to. And they actually use Lana for some of the things that they do with the kids. So now Lana gets to free range like she usually does. But because they're outside so much, Lana was outside a bunch today. And there was a big chunk of time, I'd say 20 minutes, where no one knew where Lana was. She didn't wander. I think she freaking went off on the side of our house. This is like all like kind of forest, bramble, brush. Like the side of our house is adjacent to like a small field, like a property that no one has anything on. It's just like trees and blackberries. It's just a bunch of like brush and bramble. And I think she frolicked in there, maybe chasing a rabbit or something. She came, like, no one could find her. We called her. She finally came running, and she was limping. So I think she, like, went on an adventure. But she didn't wander off. I think she just went over there, and I think she somehow hurt herself again. She's very injury prone. Again, she takes after me. She has my brown eyes and my clumsiness. Armhack says, I like cooking for friends, fairly emotionally distant / awkward, so being generous in time and effort is how I show appreciation. Oh, that's a love language. Malin hates love languages, but that's acts of service, right? That is a love language. I feel like, I think I'm the same way, or very similar. I think that's probably one of my primary love languages as well, is acts of service and quality time. I think quality time actually be my top one, because I don't really like, I don't like leaving my house, and I don't like doing all that. What?
Did this get on my jacket?
What? Did this? No?
Okay, good.
No, you're good, you're good. But yeah, I like that way of showing affection. I'm the same way. Usually I will, exactly the same thing. Back when I was less cooking and more crafty, I would always make things for people. Like I'd take someone's favorite beer, like a pint of their beer, I would drink it, and then I would turn that pint into a candle and I'd give it to them. So one of our friends, Wes, who we celebrate here on stream every now and then, his favorite beer was Irish Death. It's like a stout beer. So one time I got it's also my favorite. So one time I got one. I drank the bottle because it's one of my favorite beers as well. And I used my glass cutter. I cut off the top. Malin helped me sand down the sharp edges. And then I turned it into a candle and gave it to him for Christmas. Nice. Which is funny, when he passed away, somehow that candle ended up to one of his other friends who found out I was the one who made it. And then it ended up back to me. He never burned it. He kept it because it was sentimental. As much as you want. But yeah, I'm all about making things for people. Nowadays, I'm less crafty. I make food for people. But yeah, it's a wonderful love language. Nude says, I grew up sitting on the floor. So yeah, it's got to be really sucky not to be able to sit on the floor. Vendetta says, tall people, myself included, have bony butts and it hurts for us to sit on the floor. It's true. I think in general, tall people also, I don't know if it's judgmental for me to say, but I feel like tall people tend to be less flexible as well.
No, that's so true.
Is it? I don't know if
basketball players,
can they touch their toes?
Absolutely not.
Apparently.
Probably past their knees.
I've dated a fair amount of tall guys before, and none of them have been able to touch their toes. None of them have been able to like barely touch their knees. Like every tall person I have ever met is not flexible at all. And so, and myself being tiny, petite Asian chick, I always sit on the floor, and I sit like, usually, like I'm in a skirt right now, but usually you guys know I sit like this on my, like, it's not just crisscross, it's like, I think that's actually like a yoga pose.
They're adjacent. Your legs.
Yeah. I sit very odd. So I am fairly flexible. And my husband is not at all flexible. And I think it does have something to do with height. It's not just the bony butts. It's, I think, your ligaments, your tendons are so stretched as it is to, connect